Another part we want to mention with this interface of Unreal is the place actors. So in the place actors, in the selection mode, you have different options of different actors you can add. In particular, if you go to shapes, you can add actors as a cube, dragging and dropping here. And as you can see immediately into the outliner, you can see that you are adding a static mesh. Let me open a bit of a space here. So you can see you're adding, I think I can move it here, a static mesh actor. And the static mesh actor, the main characteristic is that they create a static mesh, as you can see it here. And you can find it with, oh, give me a second. You can find it by clicking here and seeing in what folder this static mesh was created. One thing important to mention that I forgot to say it before was that if you want to set any actor over the surface, you can select the specific actor and just move it away from any surface and then click the button end, and that will make the actor to just go over the surface. So this is an actor, and as you can imagine, we can use the options that we have a moment ago, that we visited a moment ago, to change the size, to change the position, to change the rotation, etc. Now, this is a bit limited in terms of what things you can do with these particular actors. And this is why we're going to cover the part of the modeling. Now, let me remove this particular actor, select it, and delete. There is another type of actor that we can use when prototyping, which is this one, and they are called the geometry. In the geometry, you have all these options to being added to the scene, but the difference is that, let's say that I want to add this box and put it here on the scene. The difference is that these geometries are not the static mesh actors. These are brushes. And as you visit the details, you won't find that there is a static mesh assigned for the brush. So these have some limitations later on if you want to replicate an object. The brushes are only part of the scene that you are creating, no part of a project, no part of a content browser. So these are one of the most important limitations. But there is one interesting thing to do, that things that you can do with these types of geometry, which is that once you selected the object, you can go, let's say, let me click on this object. Now you can go to this menu, option menus, and instead of selection mode, you can go to brush editing, and now you can play with this object and generate other many different forms or shapes. Let me explain this a little bit. For example, as soon as I click here, you have the brush editing, and now with the brush editing, I can do things like extrude with a specific coordinates. So look at this. Now I can move these elements and extrude any part of this mesh in any direction. Let me do it again. I can extrude because I have it selected at this moment, and I can create another shape for this actor. And what is even more interesting, let me undo these two. And what is more interesting, let's say that I'm going to the edit, and I want to, let's move this just a little bit to this point. In this case, it's not extruding because, as you can see, the object doesn't have different cuts. In this case, it's just an edit and I'm moving it up. But now I can take any other direction of this object and create any shape that I want. In fact, I can take, for example, the edge, this edge of this object, and say, you know, I want to move this one a bit to the top. And here you have a totally different object that you can use, as I mentioned, for prototyping, for creating a scene and checking that, you know, everything is working as you expected to do. And if that doesn't work, well, you can remove it very easy. And if that works as well, you can say, well, now we can create or modeling an object that could be a bit more complex. So these are the good things that you can do when you are placing actors using the the selection tool. And once the actor is placed and you play with your game, here's the actor, and you can interact with the actor like it was a block, or it could be a floor or a ceiling. So this is a really interesting options that Unreal presents to you. Nevertheless, we're not going to cover this section in details because what we want is to modeling. And modeling will give us the opportunity to create things literally like it will be with Maya or Blender. And that means that the modeling that we are going to do is going to be is going to create static meshes. And we'll get that later.